Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I'm here today with Christine Conti. Christine is an international fitness educator, chronic disease wellness specialist, and recipient of the Idea World 2023 Fitness Professional of the Year. She is the CEO of Conti, a women-owned enterprise offering keynote speaking, chronic disease wellness, mindset coaching, and continuing education for fitness professionals, schools, and private companies. Christine is the best-selling author of Split Second Courage, the podcast host of the Two Fit Crazies and a Microphone podcast, co-founder of Reinventing the Woman International, a triathlete guide for special needs athletes, and a four-time Ironman. After receiving a life-changing diagnosis at age 30, this former investment banker, English teacher, believes that anything is possible. And with that introduction, I am so excited, Christine, to have you on the Sisterhood of Sweat.
Linda, I am so honored and grateful to be here today. I love, love, love your energy, and I can't wait to share my passion with all of your listeners all over the world.
Well, I am beyond thrilled. I've been diving into your book, Split Second Courage, and I just can hardly put it down because it's such a life-changing book, I think, because you right away are talking about what we all must face in our lives, which is fear.
Mhm.
There's always a place that the hero has to make a decision and decide, are they going to pull up their big girl panties or their Women underwear, or are they going to shrink? And I love the part in the book where you decided to have courage. And I want to know, why do you think fear is the key to your dreams?
There are so many of us out there that we have such unbelievable potential, and we have so many amazing things about us and talents, and we're afraid, so afraid to step out and put our hands up sometimes and say, call on me, I can help, I let me try, because we're so afraid of failing, and we're so afraid of looking badly, we're so afraid of what other people think, that it paralyzes us. And sometimes people are paralyzed for their whole life, and they get to the end of their life and they're like, I wonder what would have happened if I wonder if I made that decision to do that, or I went on that trip, or I spoke to that person that I had those butterflies about, or I applied for that job, or I showed up to that party that I just felt like didn't feel like going to that night. Who could I have met? What connections could I have made? How would that have changed my life? And I believe that fear is the key to your dreams, because once you become accustomed to being uncomfortable and facing those fears, because what is it? Being uncomfortable is like you're fearful of something, right? It could be little, it could be big. Once you start doing that, you start doing it more often, and the ante goes up. So it's not just like, well, I'm uncomfortable because I've never eaten at that restaurant before, let me try it, to, wow, I'm actually going to speak up at this meeting where I've never spoken before. And I don't know how what I'm going to be ready to say is going to be received, but that's what I believe in. And it starts to increase as you practice. What I call is, split second courage. The more you practice, the better you're going to get.
How can everyone have split second courage? Can we all have it?
Of course. Of course. There's so many of us are like, oh, Christine, I'm not courageous. I don't want to, but, and it's exactly what I was saying. You can't be anything unless you practice, right? Even if you're someone who's like, I'm not someone who's a big speaker. I don't like speaking in front of people, and I don't do this, and I'm an introvert, and I'm a well, right. If you don't practice, you're never going to be good at anything. I don't care if it's a sport, if it's speaking in front of people, if it's, math. Um, it's simply every single day setting an action plan, something so simple. And there is something to changing up routines and not being okay, being
Mhm.
okay. I don't know about you, but if I'm ready to go out somewhere really super nice and I just spent 3 hours getting ready and doing my hair and makeup, and I come down the stairs and I say, hey, how do I look? Or what do you think? And if my husband is like, oh, you look fine. Really? Well, that's and again, think about this in life. Do you want to just be fine? Because if someone says fine, like if he said fine, like he knows better. But like he knows I'm hightailing it back up the stairs because I'm like, okay, I didn't just work that hard to be fine. Okay, we're working hard because we want to make an impact, right? And I'm just talking about getting myself ready, but that could be getting ready for life, preparing yourself for that new job or that new relationship or that new thing that you really want to do. That maybe you're starting a business, maybe you're, going to talk to people that you maybe they could be life changing if they say, oh, wow, Linda, I'd love to throw you a couple $1 million to be a spokesperson for my, that's life changing. But you don't know it unless you put that practice and that time in, which is what we often don't do. So I'm sorry, there's not a pill for split second courage. I'm sorry. There's not a potion, a powder, a pill that you can take. But what there is a lot of action plans and a lot of things that you can do by just analyzing or thinking about how other people in this world have been resilient and have looked fear in the face and said, oh no, not today. And what works for one person doesn't work for everyone. So, you're saying you're reading the book, and I do not claim to have a recipe that you have to follow because I don't believe that any body is exactly the same because what you've gone through in life, your ups and downs, they're not the same as mine. But I guarantee some of our feelings of being on top of the world, and then other times where we've just been punched in the stomach and we don't think that we can get up again and face the world. I bet we've both had that.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes.
right? And how
Yeah.
many times, right? Over and over again. And but we have ways of dealing with it, of being resilient, and some better than others. And that's what I think sometimes when people look at success isn't about like, how much money do I have or my looks, or it's success is really about your relationship with yourself and with other people. And that is where this whole idea of split second courage and developing this comes from.
And it comes from just taking a leap when you are afraid and your knees are knocking. The courage does. It's just a decision, really. It's a decision that you're going to stand up for yourself, or you're going to do something that scares the crap out of you, but you've made a decision. Instead of staying where you are, you're moving forward. And I think you have to believe you are the one. You have to uh, just have something inside of you that says, I am not this person that shrinks. And you said something on your podcast because I listened a little bit to one and I loved it so much. So I just have to say, it was, if I'm too much, go find less.
Oh
And
yeah. That's great, isn't it?
that I was like, I freaking love that. So
Mhm.
tell me, what does that mean? I think it's obvious, but not to everyone. So let's, because I think it goes a lot with the whole worrying about the choir of people
Mhm.
that, you know, what their opinions are.
Not only the choir of other people, but your choir that
Yeah.
sits on your shoulders that's like you're not good enough and you're too much and you shouldn't speak. And um I love that. I think, if I'm too much for you, then go find less. Now, for me, I feel like I've gotten to a point in my life where the choir that I surround myself with is the choir that I want. And that's part of this, that if you take a look at the people in your life, right?
That is gold right there.
Right? You,
The choir you surround yourself with is the choir that you chose, right?
yeah, they're singing the music that fits with you. Hey, if I'm an alto and I've got a soprano and a bass and they gel, that we all complement each other, we all lift each other up to form something beautiful. If you look around and your choir is not like, your music is awful, ask yourself, who are those people that you're surrounding yourself with? Are they bringing you down or are they trying to
Mm.
lift you up? And that's part of this. That,
Oh my
I
gosh,
mean,
this is so good.
look around to the five people that you spend the most time with in life. And the last, and I'm very honest that when I was working in different professions, different offices, different people, there were times where I did not fit in. And I would go to work and I would dread it. And people would always be complaining and they'd hate their jobs. And I'm like, this can't be what life is about. Trying to get to the end of the day where I can finally leave and I don't have to be here anymore, and I counting down the years until I can retire and whatnot. I'm like, is this life? Because this sucks. Like, we should be looking forward to what we do. We should be looking forward to interacting with the people that we're with all the time. And I don't care if it's at your job or whatever it is that you do, it should be something positive. And that, I think, is really important to look around and say, if you don't find anyone that's, kind of toxic or whatnot, and you're not feeling good, ask yourself if it's you. Like, this is real. These are like big things. And maybe, wow, do I complain all the time? Wow, am I always, like, am I always looking for, an excuse to escape reality? Am I always trying to drink or just like go to sleep, or what is it? Um, Once you clear yourself of people that are the negatives, you'd be really surprised at who may enter your life. And those are the people that you start to share that shine. I always say that I like to think of, people talk about lighthouses, right, as imagery. And I always say, a lighthouse doesn't go around the harbor chasing boats. They just stand there and shine.
Woo,
They're it,
woo.
right? I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm going to stand here and shine. I'm not going to chase around any negativity. I'm not going to bring myself down to any of that. I'm going to stand here and shine. And hopefully I'm going to attract and I'm going to light the way for people that are my people. And you need to look for lighthouses in your life, right? Look for the lighthouse and be attracted to that person. Go spend more time with that person, not the person who's like, wah wah. Social media is a great place to start, Linda. Social media, I don't know about you, but my social media is pretty positive. I don't tolerate any negativity, any complaining, and I remember my husband saying, social media, it's like a toxic waste dump. And I said, who are you with? Who are these people that are complaining? I'm like, it's easy. Delete, defriend, like, you may
Hey,
lose. You may
I'm
lose a lot of
speaking to
people
some
along the
people
way,
today right here.
right? You may lose a lot of people along the way, but
Well, maybe
are
they're
you really
like
losing them?
people you need to lose. They're
Right.
losing you, is what you have to realize. And something I've realized. And in my last episode, I talked about things you need to quit in 2024.
Ooh.
And we are on it today. This is right, it's right in line with my last podcast. And it's all about realizing when you quit something toxic, you make space for something great to come in. And when you recognize what is toxic, start looking for what are the qualities of this toxic person. Oh, they complain, they're negative, they're trying to pull me down, they're jealous when my light shines. What's the qualities of this person I love and enjoy to be? Oh, they're positive, they're looking for the good, they're excited about life, they have something on the ball. And it really is that separation season. And in your podcast, or actually in your book, I was reading where you said when you were 38, you decided you were quitting superficial friends, um, and all sorts of stuff. So talk about that a little bit, about what we need to quit.
So I'm not saying to go out and do what I did and, quit your job and change career. Like these can be little things. I knew for me that I wasn't, I wasn't happy in my career that everyone says I should be so fulfilled, but it wasn't right for me. Um, I wasn't sleeping enough. I wasn't, my diet was off. I didn't feel well. I was always yelling at my kids and nagging at my husband, and it just something was wrong. And I said, this is not the way that I want to live, and I don't think this is right. And that's, I had taken a sabbatical from my job for a year because I needed to figure it out for myself. And it wasn't, I didn't save up millions of dollars. That's the thing. I took a leap and said, if something is not right and I'm going to quit this, by quitting my job, I was able to focus on my sleep, my nutrition, my family. I became a better mom, a better friend, a better spouse. So by quitting that, did I did I quit the stability of a good paycheck? Did I quit, the stability of, I had a mother at the time who was like, what about your pension? Your pension? When you're throwing your life away. And I'm like, and what's interesting is that I also quit the ideology that I have to work just to retire. Like you're supposed to be miserable and then you can retire and then start thinking about how many years do you really have left of quality life? I mean, depending on if you look at the statistics, like people are retiring now 65 and older, and those are not the years that they're out traveling and joyful. Those are years of medications and facilities and wheelchairs and surgeries, and it's, do you want to look back and say, wow, I just sacrificed my life and I didn't follow my passion and I didn't do the things I really wanted to do, and now I can't. So
Mm.
to your point, when you decide certain things you're going to quit, what is it that you're going to gain? And I love to do just a really easy, divide a piece of paper in half, get a pen. If you quit this, what would it gain you? And yeah, you know what? It, when I quit my job, like I've been a banker, teacher, like I always had money and a stable paycheck. And that wasn't anything I ever worried about, right? I quit my job. What did I gain? a,
Your
a
life.
quick realization of bills and how money gets depleted
Oh,
very quickly, and two
yeah.
kids. And honestly, it was awesome because I was able to experience, wow, okay, I quit my job. Now my husband's still working and I'm still working, but part-time, and I have to give up this and give up this and give up this. And but did you really need that? What did you gain by giving it
Mhm.
up?
Yeah.
It's just a different mindset that
Mhm.
sometimes we don't really think about what's really important in life. Like I said, is it the Ferrari or is it your health?
Oh, so good. And I really felt what you're saying through the pandemic. Like when that happened, I realized what I really didn't need,
Right.
right? And I bet a lot of people did, or what was frivolous.
Hmm.
And it certainly made me look at my goals a lot differently and everything else. And I think that this is a very life-changing conversation today. Like what you were saying about like it just when you're not happy, I mean, your heart is your compass for everything. And when in your heart center, you're miserable, it's a compass that you're not in the right place. And many of us don't listen to it. And I think it just bleeds over into everything else, right?
For sure. Oh my gosh. You know, it's like saying, you have a broken ankle. You break your ankle and like, I just I put a band-aid on it and I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not fine. It Every time you take a step, you feel that ankle. It doesn't go away. And people think, oh, that's an injury. That's different. No, no, no. When we think about health, we think about physically and mentally. How do you function when, and that's real physical pain, right? I always think of like a migraine or a toothache, right? Like migraine or toothache, you go on vacation to like a beautiful destination and you have a migraine every day. What do you come back remembering? The migraine, right? Because you can't get rid of it. What people don't realize is that's the same thing as mental pain, chronic pain. I'm a chronic pain wellness or chronic disease wellness specialist. And I talk to people all the time and they're like, oh, but my hand and my this. And I said, okay, that's great. Let's talk about your mind because those things are hand in hand. The mental aspect of, if you have physical pain, it affects your mind. If you have mental pain, it affects your body. So these two things we don't
Mm.
realize, like you're saying, if you don't follow your heart, if you don't do things that make you happy, you're not smiling or whatnot, your health is going to suffer. And we are all, I hate to say it, but like a lot of us are ticking time bombs. Like we may have certain genetic
Mm.
dispositions, right? And certain
Yeah.
diseases, they could lie dormant your whole life, never get it. But if you're predisposed to type 2 diabetes and you're gonna never move and you're gonna eat all the fried foods and oil and sugar and do nothing, guess what? You're throwing fuel on that fire. But it's all connected, mental, physical. There's no disconnect. So I just like to point out what you were saying because there's a lot of layers to that.
So many. And when I work with people in my fitness boutique for women, that is the way I address it is like a whole package because you can come to me, but you already know you need to lift weights probably. You already know you need to do cardio. You already know you need to eat your greens. It's generally you need to work on like your heart set, your mindset, and then getting it all together, like the heart set, the mindset, dealing with whatever you're shoving under the rug because it's showing up in your body,
Mhm.
shedding the weight of negativity, of limited beliefs, of, toxic energies or whatever you're carrying. Maybe it's a trauma. It shows up in your body. So you can't just think like stick your head in the sand and think it's just going to disappear. And so I so agree with you about the mind knows the body and the body knows the mind.
Absolutely. There's no taking those apart at all. And that, goes into the whole idea you were talking about, people that you work with. If anyone's listening to this right now, everybody needs somebody, right? It's a song. Everybody needs somebody. Okay. This is a thing. And coaches and people that are higher level, people even that you think are your role models, they've had coaches, they've had mentors, they've had people that they lean on and they work with. And that, I think, is one of the things we don't always realize, that whatever you're going through, and even, we're talking about split second courage and growing your courage and your confidence, you don't have to do it alone. And you shouldn't put that pressure on yourself. Give yourself some grace and
Mhm.
say, listen, I, I'm good at this. I'm struggling with this. Because showing that you need help in something is not a weakness. It's a strength. I have
Mhm.
identified something in myself that I can improve. Make it something that's empowering and not defeating. So
Mhm.
by reaching out, like, to you and saying, hey, you know what, I want to, I want to get healthier. And it might be, maybe healthier would be if someone has type 2 diabetes, and they would be healthier if they were 40 pounds lighter. What is that why behind it? And what's been going on? You're never going to stick with anything without a little support, without a little accountability, without that, yes, you can attitude, and having someone, which is why I love the idea of podcasts. I love the idea of, having support groups of any sort. The What I'd love to mention, because I do run a Reinventing the Women's group, right? So it's these group of powerful women all over the world. And I tell them all the time, don't just be with us. Go out and join all the groups. And I'm not saying to throw a ton of money all over the place, not that, but be a part of different Facebook groups, be a part of different women's groups. If it does make sense to pay like a little yearly I guess, like, membership, think about what that ROI is to you and your mental health, and having that support system there. Um, these are the kind of things that I'm like, the more positive women, men, whatever it is that you're going for, humans, I like to say humans, more positive humans you can surround yourself with similar goals of being successful, which again doesn't have to be money. Success can be feeling fulfilled. The better off you're going to be. And that's going to give you that motivation to, hey, you know what? I think I can make some changes. Maybe I can quit that thing that I always wanted to quit, or leave that abusive relationship, or, it could be something big.
And it is all about having support and somebody that is like in your corner. Sometimes having a coach that believes in you till you can believe in yourself. And I've never known anyone to tell me, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that workout." Or
Right.
when you invest in yourself, it's rare that you're going to say, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have invested in myself." It always has a return of some sort, even if it's just you needed to hear that one thing that that person said
Mhm.
and it was life changing.